What's going on, guys? It's the Mongoose here. I said I was going to make a video for Scorn. I'm going to make a review. I haven't done reviews before. Um, Most of the time, I'd rather watch other people's reviews, but I said I would do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes because when I do reviews, I like to kind of be to the point. I mean, I'm going to talk about farts and wieners and buttholes, whatever. But also make this very quick. Now, when I score a game, I like to keep it simple. The 1 through 10, uh, you know, I'll give half places if need be. So, you know, and I'm also not one of those people that wants to give every game a freaking 10. A 10, there's like 5 games in history that ever got a 10 from me. Uh, so, that being said, if I gave a game a 6, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. That means it's slightly, I mean, it's an average game. It's a good game. It's just, not a standout game. So it's a first person puzzle horror atmospheric game. And it doesn't give you anything to go on. You're just sort of dropped into this weird world where you have to figure out what to do next. And very early on, you're going to get a couple of tools to help you operate some of these machines and such, right? And there's various solutions to various puzzles. And by doing those puzzles, you can progress through the game, right? Nothing nothing surprising there, nothing crazy going on. Nothing unique other than this is a very kind of grotesque looking game. Controls are very tight. The graphics I really appreciate. Um, and there's buttholes, right? So very quickly, like my most popular YouTube short to date is me talking about how that thing I just looked at looks like a butthole. But it's not all just buttholes and farts and wiener jokes and making comments about how grotesque the game is, right? There's also parts of the game that are very puzzling. I see what I did there. No, puns are the lowest form of comedy. But the puzzles that are in this game oftentimes have multiple solutions, oftentimes have single solutions, and they definitely make you think. So this game doesn't hold your hand. This game does not give you too many clues on what you should do next. Most of the time, what you're doing is you're going to run around in circles, wondering what the fuck it is you missed. And then when you figure it out, and it's like, oh, peace, 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 suddenly you got the whole thing going, and you know what you're supposed to do. So it's very frustrating, and then it becomes very rewarding. So one of the things that I don't like in regards to the puzzles is how few there are ultimately, right? So the game broke up into 5 acts, and really to progress through each area kind of has like a theme, and the puzzles are relatively easy, right? It's not like The Witness where you have literal puzzles and there's hundreds of them. No, this is the progress through the map, there are puzzles. And in order to make it through, you're more like unlocking the next door and doing things to proceed to the next area. There are some exceptions to that though, right? There's a couple areas where you can make some choices. They're minimal choices, but they're how you go about solving the puzzles. The very first one that I can think of, and spoiler warning if you hadn't figured it out so far, is you'll get this kind of pod looking baby thing that you're pushing around in a cart, and depending on where you do with him, you may kill him or not kill him, right? It's simple. It gives you one achievement or another. You can reload and get it the other way if you want to, and it ends in the same way. There's only one ending to this game. And that leads me to one of my frustrations to the game is despite the illusion of giving you lots of ways to do things, the game pretty much progresses one way. You don't have many options on how to do things. Or even if you have options on how to do things, it has the same end result, right? Um, which is a shame because this game is a perfect opportunity for exploration to be king. Not to say that you can't explore, because there are areas that I know I missed. In this particular area that we're looking at, right, you get to this big, that thing that's up there. And when you get to this, there's a whole section that I know I missed because I thought maybe I'd get a chance to come back to it. Like I thought, okay, the solution to progressing is going to drive me back to that area, so I'll just move along for now. And it did not, right? So there's a few things there. The other thing I don't like, I thought I was gonna like, and that's there is no dialogue in this game. I really expected the story to be a driving factor, and it wasn't. Um, and right here you see this thing get ripped apart, and that progresses you through. I made the weird flappy neck vagina monster angry. So there is no dialogue in this game, right? And I feel like this game would benefit from telling you a little bit about what's going on. It leaves you to wonder what's going to happen at the end. It leaves you to ponder the great mysteries that are the ending of this game. And for some reason, that didn't sit well with me. I really expected to come out of this game thinking and feeling things that I didn't. Right, like I was saying, when I played Superliminal, I took away from that game. I actually kind of choked up because that game gave you more than one way to do things. And the whole point of the game was to make you look at things from a different perspective. This game does not do that, right? This game is literally chock full of sexual innuendos and buttholes and wieners and pregnant lady things. And I believe there's a message there, but it's not apparent what that message is. And when you get to the very end of the game, you're left feeling like there could have been more, right? Not just more in the sense of the storytelling, but more in the way of the puzzles, more in the way of the combat, more in the way of exploration. You left I left this game feeling like there should have been more. And not to say that it's a bad game because it's not, but it did leave me wanting more. And if that was the goal the developers had in mind, kudos to you because I felt like I got shorted in this game. Now I did play it on Game Pass. It's available on Game Pass. So I didn't pay for it. But my time felt hollow at the end. I felt like there was something else that was supposed to happen. And furiously I was looking up, is there going to be DLC? What is the meaning behind the ending? What is it? And there's theories out there, and there's some pretty good theories out there. But I was left wondering, why? The sound, again, was lackluster. It's not bad, it's just not particularly good either, right? For a game like this, I would expect a banging soundtrack, and it was a good but not great soundtrack. Graphically, no complaints. And the ending, leaves you wishing that there was more. That's what this game does. That's the epitome of what I can say about this game. Is it left me wanting more and frustrated that I'm not going to get it. There's not even a like replay the game, new game plus type thing going on. Which is weird because there's some doors and things in the early areas that you need to have certain items for in order to access, and you can't get those items until later in the game. So it's like, man, there was plans for this, and then it's not there. And maybe the developers are working on something, and they didn't want to let people know. They didn't want to get people's hopes up or get too overly involved. I don't say overly involved. They didn't want to get people excited for something because if the game flopped, they were just going to bail on it or something like that. I don't know. But as you see here, this is a game that is defined by its art style. And while they do a lot of things well, being defined by your art style ultimately leaves you with a mediocre to good game at best. If I had to score this game, give it an out of 10 score, I'd give it a 6.5. I like what's here. I just wish there was more. I wish there was more story. I wish there was an explanation. I wish there was more puzzles. I wish the game was longer. That's what I have for Scorn. I appreciate anybody watching. I'll try to get my reviews in the more structured format because I know this is ultimately just a dude rambling about a game. Um, but it's as honest as I can be. The game's good. I encourage people to play it. The game could be better. And I encourage the developers to build upon what they have here with Scorn. A sequel or a DLC or something would be a welcome addition to this series. Check it out. It's on Game Pass. It's on Steam. Probably on PlayStation. I actually don't know the answer to that. Thank you guys for watching. And look at this landscape.